Direnzo has sent me a couple of watches into the channel, the DRZ03 the Eclipse. This is the version 2. And I've reviewed a couple of Direnzos on the channel, and I can tell you with a surety, the quality is very good. The final product, the finishing, they're really well made watches. And what I've got here is basically an updated version of the DRZ03. And I've been playing around with them all week. They're interesting watches. I've not had this watch before on the channel, so I can't compare it to anything. And you know what? That's probably a good thing, because I'm not going to be influenced by previous designs, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of these watches on face value. So without further ado, let's check these things out. Now the main changes from the previous version, from what their specs say, is basically subtle changes to the minute track and branding. They've got a flat sapphire crystal with rounded edges. The mid case has slightly more curvaceous lugs. They've got a new clasp, new dial colors, and an optional date at the 6 o'clock. So there's going to be 5 different variants of colors. The one I've got here is basically a meteorite. It's a limited edition. I think they're going to be making about 80 units of this. It's going to come in at a slightly different price point, but the rest of them, they're going to be available for pre-sale on the 12th of November. Now looking closely at the dimensions of the watch, I measure a case diameter of exactly 40 millimeters with a case height of 12.2 mil. The lug to lug is 47.8 with a lug width of 20. The bezel itself I measure at 40.4 mil. Now the crown is a signed 6.9 millimeter screw down crown, and it offers 200 meters of water resistance. And the total weight on this bracelet, sized to my 18 centimeter wrist, comes in at exactly 157 grams. Now being a 40mm watch, as you can see, the footprint sits beautifully on the wrist. The lug to lug of 47.8 is a no-brainer. That height at 12.2 millimeters to the top of that sapphire has been a pleasure, and the comfort on that bracelet has also been well balanced with the watch head. Different colorways will have a different look on the wrist. That's a given, from a white dial to a black dial. There's a different character and a different feel coming off those dials. And the watches are also supplied with Tropic rubber straps, and they seem to sit well balanced and once again comfortable on the wrist. Now if we turn our attention to the bracelet of the watch, as you can see, you've got solid end links. They're actually quick release and they seem to drop straight down. There's a slight overhang, but generally you've got a nice taper down the wrist, which is good. The bracelet itself tapers from 20 mil all the way to 17.7. You've got a fully milled clasp, twin triggers to release, and you've got 6 micro adjustments. So good hardware, good decent hardware, although it'd be nice to have an on-the-fly adjustment at this price point. Turning our attention to the case back of the watch, as you can see, it's a solid case back. It's very easy on the wrist. There's nothing that grabs or bites, which is good. And behind that case back, we've got the Swiss Sellita SW200 Elaborate version, beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 38 hours power reserve, and with both watches, the experience on the wrist and the usability has been great. The one on the left, as you can see, features a no date, and this particular one here has got a date. So there's an optional date on both watches. And in saying that, the non-date version will not have a ghost position. It'll be normal, and the normal date position, as you know from a Sellita, let's unwind it. Healthy pop out, single click, and we can adjust that date. Second, third, fourth, second click, and we can hack that movement, and we can adjust the time. As you can see, lock it in and it starts. The winding experience has been really nicely dampened, and the latch down experience, first time, it's buttery smooth, and you got 20 atmospheres. So very nice. The hardware, like I said, the hardware on these watches have been very enjoyable throughout the week. They're not without their flaws. There's a couple of little gripes that I'm going to talk about, but overall, the finishing, the quality, it's been of a very good level. Now if we turn our attention to the bezel of the watches, as you can see, you've got stainless steel and ceramic. And the ceramic one has BGW9 Super Luminova. The stainless steel does not have any lume at all. So I'll show you the actions. You've basically got a 120 click unidirectional, so it goes in one direction. Nice sound. There's a little bit of movement back and forth, so a little bit of back play on, actually on both bezels. I've tried them both. And it locks in nicely. I'll just show you the other one as well. Same thing, little bit of back play. So pretty much the same sort of action, and away you go. So decent bezels, decent lume. And speaking of the lume, I'll show you a lume shot on both watches. They both feature Swiss BGW9 Superluminova white lume. It looks white in daylight, has a nice bluey tinge to its glow during the evening. And as you can see, they're both very legible, clean, clear. Obviously with the stainless steel bezel, you're not going to get lume on that bezel, and that's a bit of a shame. But I suppose some people might want to use that watch as a timing device, not really to go diving, not really to go swimming underwater. So the option of getting stainless steel insert or ceramic lumed is up to you. Now before we touch on the positives and negatives of the watches, I'll let you know what the prices are going to come in at. They're going to have a pre-sale launching on the 12th of November at a price of 680 Swiss francs, which is about 1,084 Australian dollars. And then they're going to have a retail of 750 Swiss francs. Now for the Meteorite dial, it's going to be limited to 80 units only, and that's going to have a pre-sale price of 890 Swiss francs, which is around 1,400 Aussie dollars. And they're going to settle in at a retail of 980 Swiss francs. So keep an eye on the website, 12th of November, they're going on pre-sale. I'll leave the links in the description. Regarding the pluses, the minuses, the positives and negatives of these watches, for me, I think at this price point, it would have been nice to have an on-the-fly adjustment on these clasps. I like the clasp, the quality is good, the hardware is good, but it just would have been nice to have something on the go. I think we've come to expect that with micro brands these days. Second negative I can find is those bezels. They do have a little bit of back play. They've got a bit of settling in back play, which some might not like that, but just mentioning it for transparency's sake, there is a little bit of back play on all these bezels. Third potential negative is the stainless steel insert. It doesn't have any lume. Some people might want maybe a lumed inverted triangle. That'll be nice just to be able to have a multi-purpose. But again, you've got the option to be able to pick between ceramic as well as stainless steel. That's up to the buyer, the way they want to spec up the watch. And probably the last negative I can sort of point out, or potential negative, is the legibility on this particular one here, on the Meteorite dial. The legibility on this has been fantastic. The white one is phenomenal. It's been great. This one here, it's really good in daylight. Indoors, you might struggle. There's a little bit going on here that potentially you might have difficulties reading the time in subdued light. And that's it. And that's the negatives of the watches. As far as positives, well, the quality, they've got a very premium feel towards them. The finishing is very good. They both function very well. The screw down crowns are smooth. The lume is good. It's not exceptional, but it is very good. I particularly like the sapphire crystal. It's a flat sapphire crystal with AR. It's doing a fantastic job, but I like the edges of the crystal. There's a very slight curve to the edge, and I don't know if the video is going to pick it up, but it's giving a very nice look on that dial. And I think it's adding some really nice character. It's not adding copious distortion as you get with a lot of watches, but it's just adding that flair and that finesse, which I think for a micro brand, it's doing very well. And probably the last positive, I was quite drawn to this white dial. I like the orange accents. As I said, they've supplied this one with a white tropic strap, that one with a black one. It would have been nice to have this on an orange tropic strap. I think it'll really offset those orange accents. It works well. So very universal types of watches. So I think Direnzo as a micro brand, they're producing some really good quality watches. The ones that I reviewed on the channel in the past, they were right up there in quality, finishing. The final product was very, very good. These particular ones here are pre-production versions, so there's probably dust and specks and marks you can see all over them. But overall, I've been pretty impressed. I've not had any real issues throughout the week, apart from a little gripes where I would have loved to have an on-the-fly adjustment. But like I said, that's me. That's us expecting these sort of things from micro brands these days. It would have been nice to see it in this watch as well. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about Direnzo itself, these watches. They've been nothing but a joy and a pleasure throughout the week, with a few little niggles, but overall a very solid, robust, premium feeling watch. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.